All right. Hey, how's it, everybody? It is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to call it 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter. And boy, oh boy, it's only June, and it's the dog days of summer already. I am hot. I am slow. I am allergy-ridden. I'm not prepared for much of nothing. I forgot to turn my air conditioner on, so hold on. I have to go look at stuff. Because I am way too hot to sit here and do anything. But I don't know how to make things right. There we go. Okay, I think I figured it out. Sorry about that. That was just enthralling viewing, wasn't it? Me staring at my remote. Old people with eye problems. That's what we're tuning in today for. Old people with eye problems. All right, so looks like Terry in Scotland's rating with a party of 3, eager to find out about old people with eye problems. And Terry, yes, Terry in Scotland did come in, just like I said, along with Katie Zora. And it looks like Darlene, did she come in with the raid, or is she just saying hello to the raiders? I'm not sure. But I know that Rick is saying, fly and forkin', happy Sunday, Mad Statter and Chatterers. Fly and forkin', that is right. Looks like Rick got a gift Jupiter. I'm not even on Benadryl, y'all. This is just pure allergies right here. Pure allergies. Rick gifted a submarine to Darlene, was what I was going to say. I meant subscription. Thanks for the gift sub, Rick. Anyway, so 41 months in a row, beautiful Darlene. And what else do we have here? We've got Darlene, we've got Rick, and we've got Katie Zora, and we've got basically our usual crew. Tiny today, but that is okay, because it is summertime, where it's all hot and people are doing stuff outside. And eMusic also in here. You've got allergies too. Yeah, you know, I was, I went to the bar for a minute last night, and I was so allergy-ridden that actually the person who sat next to me at the bar, thought that I was in mourning, thought I was in some sort of mental crisis, thought that I was crying, you know, and I had to, and finally I turned to him. Well, I didn't know that at the time, but I turned to him and I was like, look, I'm not contagious. And he was like, I didn't think you were contagious. I thought you were in some sort of life crisis. And I was like, oh, no. I didn't think it would come off like that. But totally, I mean, I was just like, I was crying, I was sniffling, I was snurfling, I was making all of the noises. And so if you're looking at my face going, what is wrong with her face? It's allergies. That, and I forgot to put on lipstick, and I didn't do my eyebrows. But, so everything, what's wrong with my face? Everything's wrong with my face. That's what's wrong with my face today. Everything. Mama Sean in the house on that YouTube side. Good to see you there, Mama Sean. Now, first, let's get the party started, and then I've got a really important announcement that's not really an announcement because I don't really even know what I'm talking about. So there you go. But let's get the party started first, and then we'll jump into what I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there we go. Boop. All right, there you go, you guys. Apologies, I forgot to turn off my mic for my big gulp of my pamplemousse. So if anybody heard a slurpty slurp, that wasn't your imagination. That was a real, legitimate, real-life slurpty slurp. Not my best movement on the microphone, but there you go. And, well, when you're dealing with allergies and the eyes, why bother irritating them more with the makeup? Well, actually, Darlene, I don't really put makeup on my eyes. As you guys probably have noticed, not a lot of makeup happens on this face, but I do like to pretend like I can draw on my eyebrows, right? Because as you can see, I have no eyebrows. Now, I suppose the whole purpose of makeup is to hide the fact that I have no eyebrows, and I really probably shouldn't be going on stream going, look at no eyebrows, but there we go, no eyebrows. And it's the same submarine we watched at the lakefront during the submarine races. As long as it's not that stupid submarine that imploded, I will have none of those shenanigans, Rick. I do not want you to gift that submarine to anybody. That submarine has been used. We all know it's been used. We know that if you gift that submarine, it is a re-gift. Okay? So that submarine that imploded by the Titanic, don't be given that as a gift. We know it's re-gifted. We know it's been used. Okay? We'll recognize it. So it better be the one from the lakefront races. It's right. And, okay, Terry in Scotland, it's a Friday appointment. So Mama Sean, we're going to have to wait. I, too, was wondering, although I was thinking it was going to be a Monday appointment, and I was going to ask him later on Tuesday or Wednesday. But alas, we will all be waiting with bated breath for the news and announcements because, Terry, honestly, it's really hard, when it's just online people, to really express, or what seems like sincere, whatever, but I do care about you, and I'm sorry that, like, this has got to be sort of scary for you, and I don't mean to be all emotional, but, this is a scary point in your life, and, I'm glad that you are open to sharing with us, because we do care about you. At least some of us. I can't speak for everybody. And yeah, sorry about that. Didn't mean to go into overly emotional mode, but sometimes in life things get a little scary, and now might be the time to feel that way, even though actually you shouldn't, because the numbers are fantastic, but the moment the thought crosses your mind for the big problems that humans have, we will not name it, your heart goes a little fluttery. Anyway, so, on a completely different note, switching the gears, sorry about that. I don't know if you guys know. I don't know when it's going to happen again. I don't know how often it's going to happen. But for the last 3 nights, Andy Bumatai has been sneaking in a little stream. That's right, about a 30-minute, 45-minute little stream. What time? Good question. It's been a different time every night. I think on Friday night, it was around 11 p.m. his time. I think it was maybe 10:30 his time. Then Saturday night was around 11 his time. And then last night, luckily, it was around 10:30 my time. So 7:30 his time. But, thanks, Terry. That's exactly what popped out there. Sorry about that. DJ Smook, good to see you. I was just letting everybody know that Andy Bumatai has been sneaking in some late night streams, and absolutely way too late at night for most of y'all. In fact, Saturday night, I was dead to the world, asleep no, not Saturday night, Friday night. Okay, wait. What day is it today? Today is Sunday. Okay, so Andy has been streaming Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. All right? I don't know if he's going to stream on Sunday night. I don't know. Like I said, no idea what time. Thursday night, I think it was like 10:30 his time. Then it was 11:30 his time. And then it was 7:30 his time last night. So it was 10:30 my time last night. Got home from the bar at 10:30. Lo and behold, my phone just started going off. And I was like, who is blowing up my phone? And then I looked and I was like, oh my God, all of my notifications for Andy is what's blowing up my phone. So, of course, I had to go online and go boop-a-doop-a-doo and join in with the show. So, if you guys are feeling insomniacal, that's right, insomniacal, you might be gifted with an Andy Bumatai stream tonight, or you might not. I don't know when he's doing them, but apparently I motivated him when I spoke of his editing prowess and his editing focus these days. I said, well, but Andy could always, with some bubble gum and rubber bands and paper clips, throw something together. And lo and behold, he took that as a challenge. And so he got out his rubber bands, his bubble gum, and his paper clips. And we've been gifted with a stream for the last 3 nights. No idea if he'll be doing it again tonight. But I'm not going to lie. I kind of hope he does. And let's see here. So DJ Smook also in the house. Good to see you, DJ Smook. I hope that, yes, Andy B's streaming again. And then, of course, Andy's bees are another thing he has been streaming. And here we are, Trail Dust, word inventorizing today. That is exactly it. But you know what, y'all? All words were invented by somebody at some time. And so the words that we inventorize in our daily speech, they're just as valid as words that have been in a dictionary before, because the reality is words don't get put into a dictionary until they've been used by the populace. So invent your words all you want. For instance, a perfect example of a brand new word that should be a word, and is a word because it's been made up now, but it wasn't until it was made up, is there was someone online who was asking for what would be a good way to describe how the repair, a problem, you repair a problem, but that repair has caused an entirely new problem, perhaps even a bigger one. And someone said that could be called a reparadox. And then the person who was pondering that was like, "Oh, it's a great word. Does that word really exist?" And then the person was like, "No, dude, I just made it up." And then this linguist pops in and he's like, "It's a real word now." And he gave this whole speech, and actually I used to have it. I wanted to show it to you guys because so many people have mentioned how much I just like make up words because we do here, basically. I'm not the only one making up words. But just always remember, even if the word's not in the dictionary, it doesn't mean that it's not a legit word, because words are created by people. Words are created by the language that needs the words to be created. And it only gets in the dictionary once people actually use them. And so, but invented words can be pronounced wrong. Well, real words can be too, so it's all a wonderful thing. And Terry, I did notice your earlier comment, although I can't remember what it was called. The movie was called Bill Likes It or something. Here, let me scroll up. Bill Travail really likes it, or it's all about Bill. No, Bob Trevino likes it. I feel like I've heard of this movie. Tell us about this movie. I guess first of all, who or what is a Bob Trevino? And then next set of questions Darlene has. What kind of movie is it? Drama, historical, romance. I'm going to add comedy, documentary. And let's see here. That's right. As a kid, we were told that ain't a word. But it is. It is. It is. And let's see here. No, it's not wonderful. I speak of the word karaoke. That word is a real word, and I still don't pronounce it properly. Karaoke is how most people pronounce it, and I don't think that's really how you're supposed to pronounce it. And I have an itch on my back, so I'm scratching it with my scissors. I still, first off, I don't even know how to spell karaoke, and I definitely don't know how to pronounce it properly. I think it's, karaoke is how we all know it to be pronounced, and I'm pretty sure it's not how it's really pronounced. Oh no, it's a heartfelt drama with crates of tissues. Okay, okay, but who's Bob Trevino? And why does the name Bob Trevino sound familiar? Like I should know who he is. Karaoke. Right, karaoke. Yeah, exactly. But we pronounce it karaoke. And eMusic, it's Japanese. You pronounce it like how it's spelled. Right, but it doesn't flow off out of my mouth nearly as easily as karaoke, because that's how the Americans say it, karaoke. I mean, not all Americans, but a lot of them. I sing so poorly that I avoid karaoke. Yes, absolutely. I do too. Bob Trevino likes it is a Rotten Tomatoes score of 96. It's a pretty good score. That is a pretty good score. Yeah, I mean, I'll look in to see what it is. Because you don't want to give away spoilers, I'm assuming you're not really giving me enough to know if I want to see it or not. I definitely know that we've shown a shirt ton, a fork ton, a flying fork ton of sniffle-worthy movies, but I don't know. I always hesitate with the sniffles because they're good, but they're a downer sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. Let me look into it. Let me think about it. And although if you give us a little bit more of a hint, maybe I can tell you more. But let's see. Are you sing at work to keep the riffraff away? I don't. No, I do sing at work. I mostly just talk to myself at work, though, and that confuses my coworkers because oftentimes they think I'm talking to them, and it's just like, no, why would I be talking to you? I'm a much better conversationalist. All right, so that was silly, I know. And let's see here, not Lee Trevino. Okay, maybe Lee Trevino is the name I'm thinking of. But Bob Trevino is a general contractor. A young lady whose father is an abusive asshole discovers him on Facebook. They befriend each other, and he helps her rise above her past. Oh, Bob Trevino likes it. Got it. Okay. All right, now who's Lee Trevino? Because that might be the name I was thinking of. Is Lee Trevino like an actor from the Western films? I feel like he might be. Oh, he's a golfer from the 70s. Definitely not an actor in the Western films. But probably still the name I'm thinking of. Because that, alright. Yep, there we go. The connections that I don't make in my brain. They're vast and infinite. Yep, exactly. Alright, so, I just remembered I forgot to do something. That's right, the Lono listening break. I forgot, but I know which one I was going to pick, so hopefully I've got it up my sleeve. All right, so we are going to rewind back a little bit. I meant to show this last stream, but alas, we ran out of time. Remember on Oahu, there was, in theory, a cougar-y beastie that was out and about, loose. Well, there's a little bit of a update on that, and so I grabbed it from the news. And as it turns out, we don't really know, is really, I guess, what it turns out to. But here's what the news has to say about the beastie or the bestie. Boop.
Okay, after weeks of speculation, blurry photos, and minds running wild, the mystery might be solved over that blurry photo, or maybe it isn't solved. Who knows?
Well, state officials tell me they believe what some thought was a wildcat in Manoa may not be after all.
Curiosity spread like wildfire after this blurry image hit the internet 2 weeks ago. The snapshot sparking speculation, with many, including the eyewitness Donovan Lewis, who took the photo, convinced the animal was a large wild cat.
I seen it, and I think it's a big cat. I don't know what it is, but something big, definitely.
Officials say it looks like this one is a case of mistaken identity.
It's more than likely a dog. The way that they have their paws kind of wide, whereas cats tend to have their feet closer together. And then the color pattern, it again, much more like a bulldog mix.
Ho admits they don't have definitive proof the animal is not a wild cat, but he says all the evidence they've gathered led to this conclusion.
We put out trail cams. We baited them just to see if we could get somebody to come in. We got quite a few pictures of cats, domestic feral cats in the areas. Those animals are not disappearing. People's pets aren't disappearing. All of that really doesn't lead us to believe that it is, a large wild cat.
And he says big predators have large territories. They don't usually hang around. And this animal was spotted twice in 1 week in the same spot, which doesn't fit the profile. Even the location is an unlikely choice for a mountain lion.
At that point of the mountain, kind of in between all these residential areas, for an ambush predator that's kind of cryptic, it doesn't comport with biology. So based off of all of that, we're kind of calling it off.
But host says they are glad Donovan Lewis reported the sighting.
Things happen, and realistically, right, if you don't know, call. Better to be safe than sorry. And we can work with folks, and thankfully this one turned out to be nothing.
Nothing, or another mystery that had us chasing our tails.
The host says if you see an animal you don't recognize, call 643-PASS.
Now, to be fair, we weren't the only ones chasing our tails. A lot of people were covering this story and looking into it. And this has been going on for years, right? Wildcats in the hills above Aina Haina and other places. It's fun.
A lot of different sightings. So very interesting. And Donovan really convinced that he was convinced it is a cat. I'm sure he still believes that.
All right, well,
Never know.
Maybe it'll quiet down until the next photos and the next sightings. So I'm sure it's going to happen again somewhere, someplace. We shall see.
Sure it will.
All right, so they say no big kitty. So, what we also know is we have no background music, but now we do. All right, so I want to say, hey, Andre, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in with the biddies and all those gift subs. Super stoked to see you. And Shock, good to see you here. Sounds like your weekend was crazy, and now you are finally home. Thank goodness. I hope that you are home, comfortable, rested, well-fed, etc., etc. And your kitty has already Velcroed. I am not at all surprised. Now, speaking of the kitties, Shock has one that's Velcroed, and we were just talking about one, or the news people were. And hey, Poppy Shaney in the house. So good to see you, Poppy Shaney. Welcome in. We were just talking about the mystery wildcat sighting that may or may not have happened on Oahu a couple weeks ago. The authorities are insisting that it is not a... Hey, Kenny from the Cove, good to see you. They're insisting it was not a wildcat, a big wildcat, that is. And I agree that it probably wasn't, but I don't agree with some of their logic in regards to he wouldn't be found in a wooded area between such highly populated, dense neighborhoods. We have wildcats in the Pacific Northwest that accidentally find themselves in densely populated areas. It does happen. And especially on an island where there's only so many places for that big cat to go, it's gonna run into a densely populated area at some point. Now, I'm not suggesting that I'm arguing with their conclusion. I'm just saying that some of their reasoning, to me, was not very solid reasoning. And Mr. and Mrs. Aloha coming in, Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday coming in. Good to see you on this warm Saturday for me. I don't know what y'all are doing in your necks of the woods. Sounds like Mama Sean's got about 105 degrees, which is noticeably much more, 20 degrees warmer than where we're at here in Seattle. But our humidity is probably at a whopping 67% or something. Let's find out, actually. What is our humidity? Never mind. Our humidity is at 31%, so we're at a pretty low humidity. All right, so let's see here. Andre, they spotted mountain lions deep in San Francisco in a tree outside of an apartment in Bernal Heights. And they tranquilized it and it had walked all the way from San Mateo. Exactly, Andre. That's exactly my point. Like, just because they don't normally, the biology doesn't comport with it roaming around heavily populated, densely populated areas. Actually, if it was smuggled onto an island, where there's densely populated areas and there's only so many places it can go, you might be surprised where you find a flippin' flirpin' mountain lion. But I actually don't think it is a mountain lion. And the reason why I don't think it was a mountain lion is because the key thing that makes me say, oh, it's probably not a mountain lion, is nobody's reporting their pets missing. And that's the first thing that would be going missing, because pets aren't accustomed to being prey animals. Not on Hawaii Island, not on the continental United States. Pets get eaten a lot. And so the moment you start having coyotes in your neighborhood, you start getting reports of your cats are missing, your small dogs are missing, tiny animals are missing. If there's no reports of animals missing in those areas, then I do feel fairly confident that they're correct. It's not a wild cat. But that's the reason why I think they're confident, or they should be confident, not because of, well, they don't really show up in populated areas. Yeah, they do. Actually, yeah, they do. They shouldn't. We don't want them to, but they do. And let's see here. Poppy Shaney, as it applies to wildland fires, 32% humidity is great. Very, very, very unlikely that you will have a fire with that high of a humidity. Oh, hey, Poppy Shaney, you of all people would know. To me, 30% seems absolutely low, bonkers low. But I will take the no wildfires are going to happen anytime soon, very happily. And Terry in Scotland, oh no, it's 45 degrees. Boy, you really did get your summertime early and briefly and very, very briefly. And now you're back into fall, I guess. Or does Scotland have what we have in Washington called June gloom? Wow, yeah, 98% humidity and 45 degrees where Terry in Scotland's at. Not much wildfire danger. That is correct. Andre, oh my goodness, throwing down more and more biddies. Thank you so much. We're already at a Flippin' Flirpin' level 4 hype train, you guys. And Mr. and Mrs. Aloha Friday, you'll mostly be lurking tonight. No worries, no worries. And Andre, exactly. What does a guy in Hawaii know about mountain lions anyway? I know, right? I mean, for real. And exactly, Mama Sean, we're fairly well populated here, and we have cougars and bobcats throughout the property, but that cat looks like it cheated to you. Yeah, I think it probably was just a weird looking dog. And let's see here. Could the unidentified wild animal in Hawaii possibly feasting on feral hogs and poorly supervised chickens? Well, yes, that's totally possible, but considering, and mongoose, I mean, there's a lot of things it could be, but I still feel like there would be reports of a couple animals missing. I mean, because first off, like, animals go missing even without cougars around, right? But I still feel like there would be a couple pets that no longer were around that someone would be missing. But you know, I don't know. I'm not. I'm a crazy cat lady, but I'm not. But I'm not a biologist. I was gonna say I'm not a marine biologist, but which I'm not. But even if I was, that wouldn't really help with the cats. Anyway, yeah. So, all right. So let's see here. I fixed our Lono listening break issue, so that's good. But let's see here. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to talk about today, you guys, because I've just been so stupid. And so yeah, what do you guys want to talk about today? I can talk about some, we can talk about some food a little bit, of course. We're always going to talk about food. Or, oh, how about this? Okay, I know what I can talk about. Okay, so for those of you who have been in Washington, and noodle dish number 6. That reminds me of a joke, but I'm not going to tell it. But noodle dish number 6, is that what you had for lunch and dinner? Gotcha. I had a feeling that that's what you had for lunch and dinner. I had a ham and turkey sandwich for lunch. I have not had my dinner yet. And let's see here. Oh God. All right. So in Washington, there's a freeway that runs north to south. It's called I-5. You might have heard of it. And right between the Portland in Oregon and Seattle is a town called Centralia, and it was built there because it was centerpiece between the two. But right near that town, there's another town called Chehalis, and there's been an infamous billboard in Chehalis since I think the 60s. And it's a very conservative billboard. It's a billboard of Uncle Sam and all the things that Uncle Sam has to say. And quite honestly, it's sort of funny. Some of them are funny. And this one actually, oh shoot, hold on. We got to go back. This one right here. This one was our favorite. As someone who went to the Evergreen State College and graduated from there, we actually made a postcard out of this billboard. Evergreen State College, home of environmental terrorists and homos. This particular gentleman was not a fan of left-wing causes. And so to say that he was libertarian or why aren't you going? Or populist, conservative, whatever it is, he would be an understatement. He definitely, oh, here we go. He definitely had some messages. And part of the fun going to Seattle from Portland, or going from Portland to Seattle, was looking for the Uncle Sam billboard. And yeah, that's right. You just saw a map. That's where it's located. And do conservatives understand why they're called entitlements? Terry, exactly. So this guy was what he is, okay? This billboard, Washington State, most of you might, traditionally speaking, Washington State, especially Western Washington, is a very blue state, very left-leaning in a relative sense. So, that's where the billboard is. And so driving through, it always is a little bit painful, a little bit humorous, a little bit whatever, to find out that, or to read what is going to be next on that billboard. It is something, even if you disagree with some of what he writes on the billboard, it is a sight to see when you're taking that trip. It is something that everybody's like, ooh, what's the Uncle Sam billboard going to say this time? Well, the Uncle Sam billboard has been sold. The property and the billboard itself. And the Confederated Tribes of Chehalis bought it. And now they own the land. They own the billboard. And they are going to continue using the billboard. But they're going to be using it in a very different way. We figured if we couldn't get the land back, we could at least take the sign, says a tribal spokesman standing beneath the structure which radiates the energy of a retired AM radio host. It was either us or Hobby Lobby. And so the first message that they did put on that particular billboard was just this right now. You took the land, we took the billboard. And so it sounds like they're going to be, throwing down some native perspective truths, which I got to say, I'm loving this plot twist. It really it's a really good way. If you can't get all the land back, at least get important pieces of the land back. And this actually is a great first start. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that there will also be other billboards erected, probably for tribal casinos, etc. I don't know if the Chehalis tribe runs a casino, but I'm guessing they do, because most of the reservations here in Western Washington have more or have at least one casino. John H. Stevenson IV, good to see you. I don't know if you've been here before, but buy more jewelry from our museum stores. Yes, that might be something else that they will be putting on that billboard. Either way, I thought it was kind of funny. It was a plot twist that I did not see happening. I didn't even know yeah, and blankets too, guaranteed no smallpox or scurvy. Exactly. So I am looking forward to what the next set of messages are going to be. In fact, actually, when I first posted about this a few weeks ago, that's a lie, a few days ago, on my Facebook, which might be why Andre saw it already. Oh wait, hold on. Though we might want in the future to sell you some oranges. Okay. What was I? I completely lost my train of thought. All right, well, there we go. I can't even remember now. But let's see here. Not sure why the YouTube logo brought YouTube also algorithm brought me here. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know why the YouTube algorithm brought you here either. This is just a little chat show with a bunch of folks from around the world, and we generally try not to talk about much of anything that really is important. I remember what I was going to say. See, and then I get lost in conversation. So this particular billboard, when I posted the original news a few days ago that it was bought by the Confederated Tribes of Chehalis, some of my friends didn't think that was true. They actually thought it was a satire article, and they really didn't believe that it happened. But as it happens, actually, it really did happen. It really is true. It's been reported by not just questionable media sources, which is why I wanted to re-share it. Oh, it was a scurvy joke. Got it there. Well, let's see here. The blankets may have measles, but you get a free immunization with the blanket. Yeah, the blankets might have measles because people have been traveling around with the measles situation these days, which is unfortunate. But hopefully y'all aren't susceptible to the measles. Hopefully you are all susceptible to a Lono listening break. John, a gentleman named Lono is the music that you're hearing right now. But right now, we're going to go play a video by Lono. We take a listening break about halfway through the chat show, and right now is about halfway through that there chat show. So let's all listen to some Lono.
Thank you, Ann, Elise, Ware. Thank you very much. Hammer Jang Gang. Check that out, huh? Styling. You got them straight? Okay, yeah. Right there. Okay, let me see. Make sure the body is straight, okay? Let me see. Okay. Let's go. E vaini hoi wā, me kane hoi wā o mōlo kai. Amalo, holo holo mai, e kaunaka kai. Kalohi ke kai, e olu olu, ha hea mali e. Kane hoi wā o mō kai. Kamalo, holo holo mai, e kanaka kai. Kalohi ke kai, e olu olu, ha hea vai
Hoi, hoi, kako.
E nani ke kai o puko o
Hoi, hoi, kako.
E nani ke kai o kapaakea
Hoi, hoi, kako.
E nani ke kai o Molokai Hoi, hoi, hop
Hoi, hoi, kako.
E nani ke kai o puko
Hoi, hoi, kako.
E nani ke kai o kapaakea
Hoi, hoi, kako.
E nani ke kai o Molokai Hoi, hoi, hop
Hoi,
Okay, made it through. Thank you, Ann. Thank you very much.
From my understanding, John, Lono does on that track did all of the instruments. For the most part, Lono plays all of his instruments on his albums. There are exceptions. Anytime you hear steel guitar on his records, he did not play it. Most of the time, on most of the songs, the piano he does, but there's a couple songs that are really piano heavy that he does not play, because he doesn't play piano. He does play piano, but not to his standard for some of his songs. But honestly, I want to say that he was the one that was playing the mandolin, but I don't know if he was, because he works with this other mandolin player every once in a while. This guy named Eric, whose last name escapes me, so I'm not gonna tell you. But honestly, I don't know. But like I said, the majority, all of the vocals were him. All of the vocals were Lono. That I can tell you without a doubt. Eric Britton might have been the mandolin player. And then, like I said, occasionally he will outsource, he will outsource piano players and steel guitar. And Lono also plays in the Molokai Eevee band. That is true. He does. Now, when Lono plays with the Molokai Eevee band, he does not play all the instruments. There's a drummer, there's a bass player, there's other people. But this, and absolutely was him in a room with a mandolin. Yeah, well, no, I think that was, for sure a mandolin. Whether or not it was Lono playing the mandolin, different story entirely. What I can say is, though, the recorded, okay, apparently I can't say it. What I'm trying to say is, though, that video that was posted on YouTube by Lono was him singing with his guitar over a pre-recorded track where all of the other instruments were. I think he refers to those tracks as the -1, meaning his vocals have been removed, his main vocals have been removed, but then, and so he sings over that. But then the rest of the layers of the tracks are still on there. And let's see here. Andre, Lono expert here. You are, Molly, maybe not Mystery Wildcat, but Lono, yes, very much an expert. Yeah, generally speaking, if you have a question about Lono, I might be able to answer it. And if I can't answer it, I will know where to find the answer. And let's see here. Kenny or Andy once mentioned Lono having a guest mandolin player on one of his tracks, but I forget the player and I forget the track. Yeah, like I said, he worked with this guy Eric he's actually got an entire album with Eric, but it's a live album that he's technically not supposed to sell, so he doesn't. If I can't say it, just inventorize some more words. That's exactly right, Trail Dust. All I know is that he plays most of his stuff. Whether or not it was him playing that mandolin, I cannot answer that for certain. I do know that he can play mandolin, but I also know that that mandolin was pretty tight and that sounded like Eric's style, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was not him playing that. And in regards to the looping, yeah, I heard Kenny, who was it that said, Mama Sean, Photoluke says that Lono loops his music too. Honestly, I don't know how much looping Lono does. I heard Luke say that, and I was like, really? Lono loops his music? I don't know how true that is. I'm not sure if he does. On the other hand, if he does, I would not be surprised. But what I can say with all certainty is, the videos that he posts on his own channel are basically just him singing with either his guitar or his ukulele. You can tell which one it is. And he's playing and singing on top of a pre-recorded track. So that much, and who's on those background tracks? I cannot speak to that. But also, and I need to, and Mama Sean, Photoluke, well, okay, let's see here. Try to say this without sounding like a meanie. Okay, like me, when you talk a lot, sometimes you get things confused in your brain and you say things that just actually aren't true. And Photoluke has it in his mind, and I need to correct him for this, that I grew up in Hawaii and went to high school where one of his friends went to high school. I didn't go to high school in Hawaii. The first time I heard him say that, I was like, oh, that's cute. I'll let him say that. It'll confuse my mystique, and it'll enhance my island credibility. But then I heard him say it again, and I was like, I really actually probably need to correct him on that. I only lived on the islands until I was 5, okay? I went to public school, not private school. I went to public school, so I was a haole in public school. And by the time I was like that age, and my mom was squeezing out another one, it became very clear that there was going to be a lot of bullying in my life. So, and my parents didn't have money to send me to private school. So part of the reason why we moved from the islands back to the continental United States was because my parents didn't want my sister and I have a miserable haole experience growing up in public school. I'm not saying that was a good decision. I'm not saying it was a bad decision, but I am saying it was part of their decision. Also, my dad found a really good paying job on the continental United States, so we ended up moving. But when Photoluke says that I went to high school there, he's getting me confused with someone. So if Photoluke said that Lono loops, he might be getting confused. And I am not pointing... Well, if I'm pointing one finger at Luke for getting confused, I've got 3 fingers pointed right back at myself. So please understand, I am just giggling at, I would love to say that I went to high school in Hawaii. It gives me some clout, but it's totally not true at all. And absolutely, John, bullying builds character. For sure. Like I said, I'm really not sure it was a good decision for my parents to leave. I'm not sure it was a bad decision. I am who I am now because I've had both life experiences. I am one of the few white people on the continental United States that can say wholeheartedly, I do know what it's like to be a minority. I grew up as part of my life in the only state that's never had a white majority. So I do get it a little bit. That being said, I know a lot of white folk who grew up on the islands, and yeah, there's a bitterness. They And did I not get bullied on the mainland? I did a little bit, but only with a few people. For the most part, my presence as a larger sized individual was intimidating enough that people didn't bully me. And it was only in early elementary school. I'd say once 5th grade happened and I started to punch back, I probably was seen as a bully. I wasn't a bully. In fact, I was a protector, but people were definitely afraid of me because I think they thought I could be a bully. But no, I mean, in under 5th grade, yeah, a little bit of bullying did definitely take place. And let's see here. Yeah, and exactly. It could have been a doppelganger that Photo Luke is thinking of, etc., etc. And exactly, the reality is, in Hawaii, there is literally in school an official Punch Howley Day. And actually, to tell you the truth, it's called Punch Howley Day in the lower grades. In the higher grades, it's not called Punch Howley Day. It's called Kill Howley Day. So it gets a little more serious as you get older, right? And exactly, Terry, after leaving Hawaii, Molly cohabitated among the Wahite people. Yes, exactly. Could there possibly be a duplicate Molly out there somewhere? It boggles the mind. Oh, she probably doesn't have matching tattoos, but I have no doubt in my mind that there is a doppelganger. In fact, there have been a few times when I've seen a woman that I'm just like, oh, that could be me. Only I'm me. So that's not me. And let's see here. So, yeah, you grew up in a county where it was only 25% white folk, but it was okay because we had most of the money. Right, yeah, exactly. And in Hawaii, it's not always the white folk that have the money either, actually. So that's the other factor. There's definitely, yeah. And let's see here, Andre, well, you would have punched back. You punched back, you would have been fine in the islands. I guess. I mean, it took me a little while before I got my nerve up to punch back. And actually, I didn't punch, I slapped. But I did it good and hard. Like, and I can tell you the ladies that I did it to. Cause here's the deal. It doesn't really matter what color you are. When you're the fat kid in the class, people are going to make fun of you. It is what it is. If you're anything different, if you're, the redheaded kid in class, if you're the kid in class who came from Houston, Texas, and has the southern accent that nobody in the Seattle area has ever heard before in real life, you're going to be made fun of. Why? Because this is what kids do. They make fun of other kids. Now, I don't know, dude. It seems like kids these days have been taught better. It seems kids these days really don't bully a whole lot in the way that we did. It seems like the kids these days are really in touch with their feelings, and it's kind of nice. But that's not what it was like back in my day. And I could slap. I bet Molly's slap could stun a grizzly. You know what, Terry? I am not gonna take that bet. Okay, let me just tell you that right now. I am not gonna take that bet. But when I was in high school and I slapped a dude who pissed me off, he did tell me that it did not tickle. So there is that. And so let's see here. Thomas the Turtle, hey, good to see you, Thomas. Your youngest daughter was just telling us about when I sent her and her 2 sisters to Oahu with my parents one summer in Aiea. They got picked on for being haole kids. Was a bad experience in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, for real. And Andre, I was a fat kid, a nerd of color, which would go aggro when anybody touched me or teased me, so they left me alone. Right, there you go. Right, exactly. And I'll take the back in your days any day. Well, yeah, actually, dude, I totally agree. Back in my day is much rather where I'd rather be. But the thing is what is important to remember when it comes to the mid 70s in Hawaii was a real huge turning point for, well, actually, I mean, the mid 70s in the United States was a turning point for Native American rights, the Native American movement, and the sovereignty movements within both mainland tribes and then also the Native Hawaiians in the islands. So, you know, I'm there in the mid 70s and the 80s when this movement is just really starting to get its own momentum and strength, right? And so that is, you know, the kids are lashing out like, you know, you ain't even supposed to be here, you know, and they're trying to reclaim. And so, you know, it was a tough time to be a white kid in Hawaii. I'm guessing it's probably a little bit easier now, but I actually don't know. I really don't know. And kids now are more in tune with their feelings than actual logic, especially when it suits them. Well, I definitely cannot argue that, although people in general like to ignore logic when it suits them. But yes, indeed, I cannot argue. They are really in touch with their feelings to a degree that is a little bit illogical. And Darlene, I was in a fight once protecting my sister. Of course you were protecting your sister. Who was, protecting my sister, an older girl decided to pick on. So went to help out. Luckily, there were enough there saying she started it, so we didn't get suspended, but she did. The girl who started it. Nice. There you go. And is E.T. in the house? Oh my goodness, I did not see you, E.T. Good to see you. And, yeah, exactly. Candy from the Cove. I know all too well how the whole fat kid paradigm works. Been there, done that. Would not recommend. Right. Precisely. Yeah. So, let's see here. Fat kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks, tough kids, sissy kids, even kids with chicken pox. Love hot dogs. Armor hot dogs. Thanks. There we go, Terry. You tricked me into singing. You tricked me into singing. Yeah, that's right. That was me singing. And yes, exactly. Feelings are inherently illogical. Exactly. And let's see here. Only once did I get called a haole in Hawaii by a full-blooded Hawaiian who really must have been hurt. She did not call me Popolo, but you act so haole everything and anytime she could say it to me. And well, you know what? I mean, Andre, you are Hapa. So she's half right. For those of you unfamiliar with the term, Hapa haole means half white. But yeah, because she's using haole as a pejorative, as opposed to just a descriptive, I'm sure that's all she could think to call you, was because you just were acting all white like that. Even though you're way better tanned than I am, that's for darn sure. All right, so let's see, what do we got here? We've got things. All right, so we've talked about the Chehalis tribe. We've talked about the billboard. We've talked about the Beastie or Bestie. And let's see here. Oh, yes, I know what we can talk about. All right, so we were going to talk about this last stream. And, you know, it's time, right? We haven't talked. We got to sneak in a little map. We got a little map, so we've got a map checked off. Now we've got to talk about food, right? We've got to talk about food. Last stream, I hinted that we would talk about this because I am kind of curious. I'm not really curious how it happened, but when you think of Chef Boyardee, you don't think of Chef Boyardee like this, right? That's not what Chef Boyardee looks like. But that's actually exactly what the Chef Boyardee looked like, that got him famous. And this is what we think of when we think of Chef Boyardee. And this looks very different from this. But back in Cleveland, Chef Boyardee was a real person, and he actually made spaghetti that's real tasty, apparently. And if you want to know the original Chef Boyardee really tasty recipe, last stream we gave you the really tasty KFC recipe. This stream we're going to give you the really tasty Chef Boyardee recipe. So get your notepad up. Oh, the funny thing is she never called your mom a haole, just you. Well, does she know what a haole is, Andre? Because your mom, from what I understand, was the haole in the package here. I mean, like, what? She was silly. All right, so you guys, get your recipe books ready. If you want to know how to make Chef Boyardee spaghetti, which I'm sure you never thought you did, once you see this, you might go, oh, well, maybe I do. So let's watch some spaghetti making stuff. Let's do it. Boop.
Hello, may I come in? I am Chef Boyardee. Perhaps you have seen my picture on Chef Boyardee products at your grocer's.
That is Chef Hector Boiardi, the real man behind the Chef Boyardee brand. And before he got into the canned pasta game, he was making spaghetti dinners for the good people of Cleveland, Ohio. And it was these spaghetti dinners that really put him on the map. And after he started his famous brand, he put out a cookbook in the late 1930s. Famous Italian Dishes by Chef Hector Boiardi, through courtesy of Stop and Shop. And I think he's playing a little fast and loose with the phrase Italian dishes, as there are recipes for macaroni tamale loaf, chili con carne, and Mexican pancakes. But I suppose what made them Italian was that he incorporated his brand of Chef Boyardee Italian sauce in all of them. Now, figuring out exactly what his original spaghetti dinners tasted like is probably not really realistic at this point. But we can get an idea using his recipe for spaghetti alla Boiardi. But while the recipe tells you how to make the spaghetti, when it comes to the sauce, the real essence of the dish, he points you to use 1 7-ounce tin Chef Boyardee Italian style sauce. Not super helpful because you can't actually get that sauce anymore. But there is a light description of that sauce in the cookbook. It says it's a combination of tomatoes, government-inspected beef, fresh vegetables, and mushrooms. Not really a recipe that we can follow. But some years back, his great niece, Anna Boiardi, put out a collection of recipes from her family, and one of those recipes was called Uncle Hector's Tomato Sauce. So I think that that's what we should probably use. So between the 1930s cookbook and her family's recipe, I think we are pretty much ready to make the famous spaghetti alla Boiardi, for which you will need 2 pounds or 1 kilogram of peeled tomatoes. Now you can use fresh tomatoes if they are in season. The thing is, they're not really in season right now where I live, and they would have really not been in season most of the year when Chef Boyardee was cooking, so he used canned tomatoes quite often, so that's what I'm using. 6 tablespoons or 90 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil, 1 cup of diced onion, a half cup of diced carrot, 1½ teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon fresh pepper, 5 medium basil leaves sliced into strips, 1 pound or a half kilogram of lean ground beef, and a half cup of sliced mushrooms. And you'll notice that this recipe has no garlic, which I thought was kind of odd, but it turns out the area of northern Italy where Chef Boyardee was born, well, they don't use garlic in their tomato sauce, so neither did he, at least at first. That said, if a clove of garlic happened to fall into your sauce, I won't tell anyone. So the first thing that we need to do is to make our sauce from the tomatoes. So chop them into small pieces and then put them with all the juice into either a food mill or a conical sieve. The idea is to mash them up and get all of the pulp and juice to separate from the seeds. If you do use a conical sieve, you'll want to get a pestle, a wooden pestle, because 1, it's a lot easier, and 2, if you don't have yours laying around and you decide to use a spatula, you might have to press so hard that you'll break the spatula, like I did. But once the tomatoes are sauced, heat the oil in a deep saucepan and add the chopped onion and sprinkle with about half of the salt. Then let them cook over a medium heat for about 3 minutes, and make sure the heat isn't so high that it burns the onions. Then add in the carrots and let this all cook for another 5 or 6 minutes or until the onions are soft and translucent. Then add in the meat, breaking it up into small bits, and sprinkle the rest of the salt and pepper over the meat and cook for 10 to 12 minutes or until it's no longer pink. Then comes the tomato sauce you made and the mushrooms, and stir it all together, and then raise the heat a bit so it comes to a boil. Let it boil for just a few seconds and then reduce the heat to a simmer, and then set the lid onto the pot, leaving it slightly ajar, and let it simmer for about 40 minutes. It'll start to thicken up, and it'll also just become wonderfully aromatic during that time. After 40 minutes, add in your sliced basil, stir it in, return the lid, and let it cook for another 5 minutes. So that is what Chef Boyardee called his Italian-style sauce. And before we add it to some spaghetti, let's see just how that sauce made a young Chef Boyardee the most famous Italian in America. So the chef's 1930s recipe says to bring a gallon of water to a boil, then add 2 tablespoons of salt and 8 ounces of dried spaghetti. And he says to cook the spaghetti for 12 minutes, stirring frequently. Once cooked, strain it, return it to the pot, then add 2 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. Dish the spaghetti up with the sauce on top and sprinkle with more of his grated cheese, and here we are. Spaghetti alla Boiardi, the original spaghetti dinner.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. That was a messy transition. Wow. Okay. Allergies much? Just a little. But yes, carrots. Carrots. I've heard of people putting carrots in their spaghetti sauce before. And I've heard of carrots being used in spaghetti sauce in a couple different ways. One of which was to add sweetness, you just sort of add the carrot in, but then you take the carrot out before you serve it. But this particular one, as you can see, has the chopped carrots, and you're supposed to let it simmer for like 40 minutes or so. So the carrots are definitely going to be soft, but they're still going to be there. It's not like they're going to be totally dissolved, you know? And the beef bolognese I get from Tesco has loads of finely diced carrots and red wine. Yeah, so I really do believe the more you hear this, but the more you delve into Italian cooking, the more it becomes obvious that from region to region, and then obviously from family to family, but let's just say from region to region, what they consider tomato sauce is how you make your tomato sauce, how you make your beef tomato sauce is definitely very different from place to place. Like that video said, a lot of places in Italy do not use garlic with their tomato sauce. And when I mentioned that to my boss, who lived in Italy for many years, she was like, that's not true at all. They totally do. And I was like, well, maybe where you lived, they did. But, there's a lot of content creators on YouTube who are from Italy. And the one thing that these Italian content creators who have moved from Italy to the United States, the overriding complaint that they all have is Americans use garlic in their tomato sauce. There should be no garlic in tomato sauce. So, I don't know. And Andre's saying maybe the carrots are a northern Italian thing and most Italians in the US from the south, so maybe no carrots down on theirs. Andre, I think you've probably nailed the hammer on the head. Yeah, I think that you're totally right. I totally think that is exactly what's happening. But I have to say, I don't think I would. I don't know how I'd enjoy carrots in a tomato you guys. I don't know how. Carrots, spaghetti sauce. I don't know if I'd like it. But what I do know is that spaghetti looked really tasty. And it also looked super easy to make. I think I might actually try and make that one day. And I also like how he buttered and cheesed the noodles before putting spaghetti on them. That is something I've never done before. And I will tell you this right now, you probably will believe me due to my size, which is if you can have an excuse to add more butter and more cheese, I will use that excuse. You mean I'm supposed to put more butter and more cheese in something that, oh, I can do that. Oh, yeah, let's do that. No problem. And despite what Olive Garden thinks, real Italian lasagna contains no cottage cheese. Whoa. Sorry about that. No cottage cheese. And what else did he say? But it is good with it. You know, Terry, you're 1000% right. Right? However, I don't like real Italian lasagna with ricotta cheese. I grew up with lasagna being made with cottage cheese, and so the soupy, liquidier cottage cheese to me is just a better texture in my mouth, a better mouthfeel. The ricotta is just too dry, and so I prefer cottage cheese, but I can totally appreciate why someone who's into the authenticness of it, seeing cottage cheese in a lasagna would just piss them right off. I have no doubt in my mind. It has got to be the most angering thing that an Italian can see. The blasphemy of what you did to my lasagna. You put cottage cheese. It's not the same as ricotta. So, yeah, I can appreciate why it would piss somebody off, but I personally, because my mom always made it with cottage cheese, that's how I want it. I mean, I am open, maybe like a mix of cottage cheese and ricotta, so it's a little bit looser than the tightness that the ricotta normally has. But then again, there are a lot of people who insist that lasagna needs a bechamel sauce over it, which confuses the heck out of me. Andre, you've never had lasagna with cottage cheese? You're half Italian and you don't care. Oh, yeah. No, because from what I understand, like the ricotta, a traditional tomato-based lasagna is actually also served with a bechamel sauce, which I think is where you get that looser creaminess that the cottage cheese gives you, because you don't use the bechamel with the cottage cheese. But then again, my best guess also is, for every recipe for lasagna that an Italian has, there's another recipe that a different Italian has for that same dish. Bechamel sauce is a French sauce. Basically, it's butter and flour mixed together to make the roux, and then it's thickened with milk. It's not even Italian. I know, but I'm just saying it. Just saying, a lot of Italian lasagnas are served with the bechamel. And exactly, 10 Italians, 12 opinions. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. And Trail Dust, you wonder what the sock puppets prefer. Well, you see, Susan prefers the cottage cheese, whereas Thomas is thinking he's open to trying whatever, but he does not like it when a lasagna is dry. So if the lasagna is at all dry, may I please have some bechamel sauce poured over it? So for those of you who don't know, this is Naked Sock Puppet Theater. Susan and Thomas. I always remember that Thomas is the one. Thomas has the trunk. And I don't really remember if Susan's name is Susan, but today her name is Susan. She might be named Karen one day, but today it's Susan. And the French occupied many parts of Italy before it was united Italy. So yeah, and the French, French sausage, the mother sauces. Bechamel, by the way, is one of the mother sauces in France. So if you at all do any kind of French cooking, you definitely know how to make a bechamel. But let's see here. Yeah, okay, so Terry in Scotland, bechamel, one of the mother sauces of French cuisine made from white roux, butter and flour, milk, and seasoned with ground nutmeg. Exactly. Yes, and I believe that some people use a bechamel with their fettuccine Alfredo, which isn't the right way to make fettuccine Alfredo at all, by the way. Fettuccine Alfredo is basically, I mean, the true stuff is pretty much cheese, butter, and pasta water. That's what that is. But lots of people don't realize that the pasta water is what makes it creamy, and so they think it's a cream sauce. So they go bechamel, and it's not, but whatever. And plus, the French and Italians grab and take each other's cooking secrets anyway. Exactly. And yes, naked sock puppets. Hopefully, the naked sock puppets won't get in trouble this time, because Lord knows nakedness has gotten this stream in trouble on more than one occasion. I have a movie that I would like to show you guys. It's called Dead Man, and it stars Johnny Depp and Gary Farmer. One of the reasons why I haven't shown it to you yet, though, is because Gary Farmer is in it, and Gary Farmer is always the one who seems to get my butt in trouble with the morality police. So, Gary Farmer and his naked body, I don't know if he's going to be naked in this movie, so I have to watch it beforehand. And, let's see here. Yes, exactly, Terry. Fettuccine Alfredo is a pasta dish consisting of fettuccine tossed with butter and Parmesan cheese, which melt and emulsify to form a rich cheese sauce coating the pasta. That is exactly it. But lots of people think, think that it's, a cream sauce, and so they're like, well, I'm gonna add cream, and I'm gonna add, you know, whatever, and it's like, no, dude, the moment you add cream, you screwed it all up, man. It's not how it works. It's the pasta water. See, Darlene, first off, we already know Darlene knows how to cook, but see, Darlene knows how to, Darlene knows how to cook, and what a real Alfredo is. And, let's see here, this Reese bot really a bot? Yeah, actually, John, it is a bot because I am, but it's allowed. It's one of the permitted ones. You see, currently I am streaming on 2 different platforms. You're watching me, it looks like, on YouTube. But I'm also streaming on this platform called Twitch. You may or may not have heard of it, but if you've ever heard of video game people, no, I don't know if you can block them. I mean, maybe you can, but basically, they're the reason why. Okay, all right. Streaming on two platforms, YouTube and Twitch. And so this bot takes the chat from both of them and puts it where everybody can see it. Without the bot, only the people on YouTube would see what YouTube is saying, and only the people on Twitch would see what Twitch is saying, what Twitch people are saying. Whereas when that bot is running, all the people from all the platforms, the different websites that are watching, they can all talk to each other. So it's actually a helpful bot. It really is. I know it seems like an awful lot of words to just post your stuff, because like, God, Restream bot, why I'm not Restream bot, my name is John. I'm not Restream bot, my name is John. But but basically though, that is it's supposed to be there. And you're on YouTube. I don't know if you've heard of Twitch before. I know that when I first started doing streaming stuff, I had never heard of Twitch. If you're into video gaming, Twitch is where you want to be. And let's see, I have so many people on Twitch. I have more people on Twitch than YouTube. I wouldn't say so many, because it's probably a dozen or so. But yes, indeedly do. Twitch is where most people watch it from, because when you belong to the channel on Twitch, you can do things like you can throw out little happy faces and stuff, or like you can I can't do anything. You can make little emotes and things like that. But in fact, I don't know if you can see this because you're on YouTube, but Shock just threw down the 2-minute warning mark, and I just threw down some green faces, and then Darlene just threw down some pictures of soap boxes. These are all things that you can do when you're on Twitch, and for some reason, it just makes the show more fun when you have access to those things, because we're like 5 years old or something. I don't know why. It just seems more fun. But anyway, we've got 1 minute left until the bottom of the hour, and then it's time for me to shut up, and we know that that doesn't always happen, but that's okay. I got 2 minutes to put the fries in the bag, lady. That's exactly it. We're trying to wrap things up. So to wrap things up, I want to say thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, mods, for moderating. I don't think you had to moderate too bad. I want to thank Andre and everybody else for subbing and gift subbing. Rick, I'm looking in your direction as well. I want to thank everybody who donated the biddies. Super awesome. I want to thank Terry for coming in and being open with his sensitivities. And I want to thank all the chatters who chattered away to make this hour and a half go by. I want to thank John for hanging out, going, where am I? What is going on here? How do I turn this robot off? Where are the buttons? So glad you could hang out and see just what this chat stream is about. What is it about? Nothing. Nothing at all. And a little bit of everything. Super stoked to see Poppy Shaney here as well. And I want everybody to have a wonderful week. We will see each other on Wednesday, 5 p.m. West Coast time, Twitch or YouTube. There will be no movie next Saturday. And there might not be a chat show on Sunday, next Sunday either, but we will discuss that on Wednesday. So, between now and then, why don't we make up some words, y'all? Because when we make up words, we're creating words, and they're not just made up, they're real. It's right. All right. Hey, maybe we will see Andy Bumatai later on tonight. Maybe we won't. But if we do, you'll probably see me there. Because words are jarred. That is exactly it, Shot. All right. Have a good one. Take care.